日本人ではないよ。赤でもないよ。毎月何回も日本語式ラララ。Hello everyone! So welcome to NihongoShiki episode 3, where we'll talk about greetings. So it's been a really long time since I've made one of these videos. I'm sorry, real life here has been kind of busy. And also, as you can probably tell from my backdrop, I'm no longer doing it in my bedroom, I'm doing it in my dedicated English room here at one of my schools. So I hope you enjoy the more proper background and setting. So like I said, today we'll be talking about greetings. First we'll deal with the standard form that most of you probably already know. Then we'll talk about some ways to say goodbye. And then third, we'll get into some of the more casual type that you can use in conversation with your friends that don't normally get talked about in formal classes. First of all is in Japan, greetings are very, very important. They're taught from kindergarten upwards to say proper greetings when you enter the staff room, when you see anyone in the hallway. They're a huge deal. In Japan, the idea is it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. So, even if you just say a normal greeting, or even if you mess it up, that's okay, because at least you tried to make a greeting. If you don't say a greeting, for example, if I were to just walk into work one day and not say "Ohayo gozaimasu" when I enter the staff room, it would seem really, really rude, and it would drastically lower my reputation, because I'd be seen as the weird, impolite person who can't be bothered to take 2 seconds to say hello to someone. So make sure that you use these in conversation, even if it seems like you're repeating yourself over and over because you have to say it to every person you see. Just do it, because it's going to make your life a lot easier. First, we'll start with the 3 standard hellos, which I'm sure most of you know. There's "Ohayo gozaimasu," or just "Ohayo." There's "Konnichiwa," and then there's "Konbanwa." So the first one, "Ohayo gozaimasu," is good morning. It's typically used up until 11 a.m. is about when people switch over to "Konnichiwa." So say it from the time you wake up till about 11 a.m., noon, kind of up to you. "Ohayo gozaimasu" is the longer formal version. It's what I say when I step into the classroom or when I step into the staff room in the morning. If you just say "Ohayo," that's the slightly more casual. I wouldn't say it to my coworkers. I do say it to my students, or to the convenience store clerk, or to people I pass on the street. People like that. Its pronunciation is "Ohayo gozaimasu." Ohayo gozaimasu. Ohayo gozaimasu. The next one, "Konnichiwa," is of course hello or good afternoon. This one is used from roughly 11 a.m. to probably 5, 6 p.m. So from about lunchtime up to about dinner time. So there's no super formal, super casual way of doing this one really. You could say "Domo konnichiwa" if you wanted to be slightly more formal. We'll get to the casuals in a little bit. But this one's pronunciation is "konnichiwa." Make sure that there's kind of an extra N, and if you pronounce that N properly, then that's kind of what separates you from someone who can actually pronounce Japanese and someone who can't. So "konnichiwa," 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 "konnichiwa." The last one is "konbanwa," which is good evening. So this one is used from dinner time up until bed. So really nothing more unique to say about that one. Again, I guess you could say "Domo konbanwa" if you want to be more polite, but whatever. This one's pronunciation is "konbanwa," "konbanwa," "konbanwa." Now for your list of ways to say goodbye. Our first one is your standard "sayonara." Make sure that you don't pronounce it like "sayonara," what's his name from Xenosaga? Yeah, don't do it like that. Sayonara. Sayonara. Honestly, I don't use this one very much at all. I just have other words to say goodbye, but it is completely legit. It's the standard, polite way of doing it. I just don't often say it myself. There's the more casual, matane, which I'm sure most of you have heard in anime or advertisements, things like that. Matane is basically like, see you, so it's more casual. I use this actually sometimes with my coworkers. I say something like, Getsuyobi matane, which is like, oh, I'll see you Monday, or something like that. But it's technically not polite. I do this with coworkers that I'm already kind of friends with, on good terms with. There's the incredibly formal, which is osaki ni shitsurei shimasu. I'll break that one down. It's osaki ni shitsurei shimasu. Osaki ni shitsurei shimasu. So this osaki ni means kind of like before you, and the shitsurei shimasu means please excuse me. So literally all together, this one means please excuse me for leaving before you. It's the standard thing that you say when you leave work at the end of the day. I have to say it, everyone says it. You can drop osaki ni and just simply say, oh, shitsurei shimasu. But most of the time people go ahead and throw in osaki ni to make it more polite. Because as you might know about Japan, it is incredibly work-centered, work-focused. And, to be one of the first people leaving the office is, it's not rude, but it's sort of seen as you should pretend like you feel bad about it. So you say, oh, please excuse me for leaving ahead of you, bye. The next one is probably a good thing for most of you already living in Japan. Lots of people ask, at the convenience store, when you pay for something, and then you want to say oh, have a nice day or whatever. What's the phrase for that? Because Japan doesn't really have a good phrase for oh, have a nice day or whatever. So in that case, you'd say mata yoroshiku ne. So breaking it down, it's mata yoroshiku ne. Mata yoroshiku ne. Mata yoroshiku ne. So this one literally means it's a good literal way to translate it, looking forward to seeing you again, or literally it's next time please be nice to me, something like that. It implies that you'll be coming back to this place again and that you appreciate their business. So when you go out to eat, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the combini, if you want to say goodbye or something to the clerk, you can say mata yoroshiku ne to imply that you appreciated their service and will therefore be coming back. The next one, odaiji ni. This one can be used when you have a reason to worry about someone, maybe they're sick, or maybe the weather is bad and you're worried about them getting home okay. You would say odaiji ni, odaiji ni, odaiji ni. So this one literally means please take care. Like I said, you don't use this one normally. You'd only use it if there's a reasonable cause for concern. And the last one, which I'm sure most of you already know, is oyasumi nasai, which is good night, sleep well. You can say this to literally be, good night to someone who's about to go to bed, like someone who's living at your place. I say it sometimes to taxi drivers and stuff like that. If a taxi has taken me home at 11 p.m. at night, I would say oyasumi nasai to the taxi driver. That's also fairly normal. Breaking this one down, it's oyasumi nasai, oyasumi nasai. So now let's get to some of the casuals, the fun part, the part that most of you are probably watching this video for, because a lot of people already know the standards. Alright, so for example, ways to say hello. A common one that's used is osu. And it said something like that, osu. It basically is just hey! This is really casual. I wouldn't use it with my coworkers, except for the one or two
that like I'm good enough friends with to see outside of work, something like that. Students use this with each other. Let's see, on the same vein, there's also for men, you can just say yo, and you know, that's, lots of men will use that casually to say hey. That's sort of seen, it really is a men thing. Like even though women can say yo in the West, here women don't say yo, it's really just men. There's also domo, just by itself, which it's also just a generic way of saying hello, like the equivalent of konnichiwa. It can also be used to mean like, oh, it's nice to meet you, like if someone introduces you and it's really casual. Like if someone would be like, you know, oh hey, this is Mary Sensei, to like a student or like someone else, I could say like, oh, domo, like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, whatevs, hey. You heard me sometimes using it before with the domo konnichiwa, domo konbanwa. You could say, I don't know, I very rarely hear domo ohayo gozaimasu. But yeah, if you're just dropping the konnichiwa and you're left with domo, that's what you get. To also say hello to someone, you can just call out their name, and that's acceptable. You know, students run up to me all the time saying just like, oh, Miyagi-sensei, and that's, you know, they're not really saying hello, but they're trying to greet me. The last one's for saying goodbye. Actually, the two most casual ways of doing it that I normally hear are English phrases. They tend to use bye-bye and see you. And it's really funny when you teach them that bye-bye is actually an English phrase that they've just sort of co-opted, because they all think it's Japanese. That's sort of a running thing here, like American or foreign things that are here that they think are Japanese. Like most middle schoolers seem to think that Starbucks is a Japanese company. They don't understand that it's not, even though the entire menu's in katakana, but whatever. So anyway, the phrases bye-bye and see you, they're pronounced in their katakanized versions, but you can use them all the time. These are, like, pretty much girls say bye-bye. I very rarely hear men use it. And both genders can use see you. I don't really know any more specifically male versions of saying, you know, goodbye. Maybe Arcane Static can help you over at Basically Easy. But yeah, hopefully these help some of you guys out. I'll try to make the next one not so long of a wait in between. If you've got any requests for the next episode, because honestly, part of the difficulty of filming these is figuring out what to cover next. So if you want to make a suggestion or have a thing or a topic that you'd like covered, please just leave a comment below. I promise I actually look at all of them. They get sent to my email. Alright, so everyone, see you later. Matane.